Kind of a shame.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't get permission to use the Terminator theme for this, which
Oh, that kind of
sucks.
sucks.
Because I love the Terminator theme. It's awesome.
Hell yeah. It's one of the best themes.
Yeah, it really is. And then the freebie I got was X-Men Origins Wolverine on the 2-disc DVD special edition version of that film. And I wanted to use this as an excuse to get that for free because ain't no way in hell I'm paying for that film.
Yeah, really.
I want it for the sake of completion, so I could gather up all the X-Men films because there's a lot of films in that franchise that I really like. X-Men 1 is good, X-Men 2 is great. X-Men 3 isn't particularly good. It's got fun action sequences, I'll give it that. Like, you can sit down and watch it, and if you turn your brain off to how dumb it is, and how it fails at being the Dark Phoenix saga, then you can have fun with it.
Because I don't think I've seen any of the X-Men movies, believe it or not.
Well, X-Men 1 and 2 are definitely worth watching. X-Men Origins Wolverine is fucking terrible, and I'll get into that here in a little bit. Then they did First Class, which is really good. First Class is one of the best ones. Highly recommend playing First Class. Watching X-Men First Class. It takes place in like the 60s during the Kennedy administration and the Bay of Pigs and all that.
Yeah.
The missile crisis and everything. The missile crisis actually plays a big role in its plot. And but it's about like part of it's about like Charles Xavier forming the school for the gifted youngsters or whatever they call it. I don't remember off the top of my head. Charles Xavier's the professor at a school for mutants. That's what he does.
Yeah.
It's like part of it's about him forming that. And it's got this whole plot where Magneto wants to kill a mutant that was a Nazi named Sebastian Shaw, and his goal was to get the United States and Russia to fight each other and wipe each other out. I don't remember why.
Sounds interesting.
And both him and Xavier wanted to stop them for different reasons, so their ideology and the reasons that they were going about it was different. And it winds up forming Xavier's group and then the Brotherhood of Mutants, which is Magneto's group. It's really good. And then they did The Wolverine, which is about it's about Logan going to Japan to visit someone that he knew in World War II, because Logan has been alive for like hundreds of years, and he's been involved in like every fucking war, and he was there in Japan fighting against the Japanese when the bomb dropped, and he saved a Japanese soldier's life. And and the Japanese soldier calls him back much later when he's about to die, and he thinks it's because he just wants to say goodbye and see a friend for one last time, but he actually has some secret plan that Wolverine winds up having to stop, and Silver Samurai's in it, and it's not an amazing film, but it's a pretty enjoyable one. It's decent. Worth a watch, but
yeah,
nowhere near as good as the two films that it's sandwiched in between First Class and Days of Future Past. And Days of Future Past is fucking awesome. It's got what's his name? The guy that played Tyrion.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah, he's got Peter Dinklage in it, playing a guy named Trask who invented the Sentinels in the X-Men universe, and it's about the invention of the Sentinels and how the Sentinels came into existence, and he himself was assassinated by Mystique, and how that eventually led to a world-ending scenario where mutants were being wiped out by the Sentinels. And anybody suspected of being a mutant was being wiped out by the Sentinels, and it wiped out most of humanity as a result. And they're trying to prevent that war from ever happening. So they send Wolverine back in time to try to deal with that. It's pretty interesting. And it's a really good film.
You have to try and watch them sometime.
Yeah. Then they followed that up with Apocalypse, and it's a shame because Apocalypse is a really, really cool villain. He was the first mutant ever, and he was a pharaoh in ancient Egypt. And he was buried. Cool. He was buried in ancient Egypt, and he comes back to life, and it's like a mummy or whatever. Thousands of years later, and he goes about finding other mutants to be his four horsemen of the apocalypse. And he goes to, I think it was Angel. And Angel was fucking listening to the Four Horsemen by Metallica. And I was like, fuck yeah, man, that's awesome. But Oscar Isaacs plays him. And I like Oscar Isaacs as an actor, right?
Yeah.
But he does not have the on-screen presence for that. You need someone that has a very commanding on-screen presence, like the guy that played Vader, or Arnold Schwarzenegger, or someone like that has a very commanding on-screen presence to pull that off. And unfortunately, I don't think Schwarzenegger could have done something like that because of there's no way you're going to convince anybody that his accent is Egyptian, you know?
Good luck with that.
Yeah, but that's the kind of thing you need, and Oscar Isaacs just does not have that. So the villain does not work like it should. That, and they take a big-ass detour right in the middle of the fucking movie just so they can have a cameo with Hugh Jackman and Wolverine, because having Hugh Jackman in these things gets more butts in seats.
Sure, because that's what people really want to see.
Yeah, so they have this plot line right in the fucking middle of it where they all get kidnapped by William Stryker, who is the guy that captured and experimented on Wolverine and put the adamantium in his bones and everything.
Okay.
And it comes right the fuck out of nowhere. He just shows up, quickly kidnaps a bunch of people, and takes them all back to his island, and then they escape. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine escapes, and then we get back to the main plot. And it's like, you could have cut this out and it wouldn't have mattered one bit except making the pacing better. You know?
Yeah.
I like him playing Wolverine as much as the next guy, but this is pointless. This didn't
like pure fan service.
Yeah, it didn't need to be in the film, and its inclusion in the film just hurt it. And then the last one they did was Dark Phoenix, and Dark Phoenix sucked. Oh my god, that movie's so fucking bad. It's like. You know how sometimes you can just tell that This was the director's first big feature film.
Oh, I know what you mean.
That's what it's like.
Oh boy.
Plus social justice. Because there is a line in it where Jean Grey goes up to Professor X and says, it's like, the men really need to pull their weight around here. I can't help but notice that it's always the women doing all the work or whatever. And this is about 5 minutes in film time after the X-Men had just flown their jet into outer space to save a bunch of astronauts. And it was Nightcrawler, who is male, that was teleporting back and forth between the space shuttle that was stuck and the X-Men ship to teleport the astronauts back and forth and save their lives. And it's like, did you just forget that Nightcrawler just did that, or are you just being a jackass for no reason? It doesn't make any sense in any context. Don't watch that one unless you want to fucking be bored to death, because it's not good. Of course, then they had Logan. I already talked about Logan. And,
So I heard good things about that movie, at least.
yeah, Logan's very, very good. So definitely watch that one. But X-Men Origins Wolverine, unless you want to laugh at how bad some of the effects look, don't bother. And the effects are really, really bad. Like, there's this one scene where he's in this old people's farmhouse just after he's gotten the adamantium on his skeleton. And he's just got his claws out and he's just looking at the claws covered in adamantium. And it looks atrocious, dude.
Yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen some of the better clips from the movie.
Then you've seen it. The effect looks unfinished, does it not?
Yeah, it's really low budget. It looks freaking awful.
Yeah, the weird thing is that film had a higher budget than the 3 previous films. I don't know what the fuck happened there, but it looks like the claws don't reflect light or something. It's weird.
Yeah, it looks really cartoony, honestly. It's like really cartoonish.
Yeah, and I mean, this has to be like a big moment because, and I can understand not taking notice of it right away, because before that they had the big scene where he had the adamantium put on his skeleton to make him damn near invincible, and then they were going to wipe his memory, and he didn't want that, so he escapes, and he doesn't have time to examine or consider what's been done to him. So I don't mind him having this quiet moment in the bathroom where he does that, but in what should be like a serious moment of self-reflection or something, he slices up some things in the bathroom on accident and they play it for laughs, like slapstick comedy.
Oh god.
Yeah, the tone of this movie is all over the fucking place.
So it sounds like, oh god.
Yeah, you want to know the worst part of it? There's a scene at the very beginning where it shows a montage of him and Sabretooth fighting together throughout a bunch of wars throughout U.S. history. Like, you see him in Vietnam, and you see him in World War II, and you see him in the Civil War, and all these other things that they were involved in. And you're sitting there watching it go through this stuff, and then you watch the rest of the movie, and you're like, that was the coolest fucking part of the movie. Why couldn't you make the movie about that shit? You know?
Yeah.
Fucking just terrible film. Gambit's in it for some fucking reason, and they didn't do anything with his character. like, if you're gonna bring Gambit into this universe, at least have him do something later on, because he's a cool character. But they don't. Like, they could have justified it by bringing him back in another movie, but they didn't even do that. And it's shameful because he was easily the coolest part of this terrible film.
That's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah. It really is. So yeah, that was what I decided to get for over Memorial Day, was those films. Before that, I picked up a couple of Call of Duty games for the Wii. At the same movie trading company, actually. I picked up Black Ops and Modern Warfare 3. And I think you haven't played them on the Wii, have you?
I only played Call of Duty 3 on the Wii.
Oh god, that was the worst one.
Yeah, that's the worst one.
Like, I don't mind Call of Duty 3 if I'm playing it on the Xbox. The Xbox 360 or whatever. But on the Wii, no. On the PlayStation 3, definitely no. Like, if you played on the PlayStation 2, or the original Xbox, or the Xbox 360, you're fine. Unfortunately, there's no PC version of it. They should fucking remaster that shit and put it on PC.
Oh yeah, it deserves it. I mean, it could be it is a good game on the other platforms, apparently.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand though that the PlayStation 3 version can brick your console, because I had that happen to me. Yeah, I had that happen to me. Like, I was playing the game, and then it just fucking shut off. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? And I went over and I turned it back on, and it didn't turn back on. And I'm like, what the fuck? Maybe it just overheated. So I left it there for a while, turned it back on, didn't turn back on. Never got it to turn back on again. And that was that was a 60 gig model too, with the backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 2. That was hardware built in. Yeah, I had that. And I took it back to Best Buy to exchange it. They're like, we can't give you this exact model. We don't have it anymore. So they gave me a 20 gig. It doesn't have backwards compatibility. And a PlayStation 2. And I'm like, that's not the same thing. God damn it.
Yeah, because the backwards compatibility was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was
PS2.
Surprisingly good.
So, like, none of the other models had that, which is really kind of weird.
Yeah, it was the original 20 gig, the original 60 gig, and the original 80 gig. Those were the three models that had backwards compatibility. And if you find one online, they always go for a lot of money nowadays. I miss it. I have to play playing my PlayStation 2 games hooked up through component cables to a set component to HDMI that I have is not a bad way to do it. Like, it's not a bad way. Like the resulting footage looks pretty sharp, but I miss being able to play them in 1080. Damn it. And nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, unfortunately.